Well, good day, everybody. It is 14th of December, 2025. It's Sunday, and it's 11:15 in the morning, something like that. And boy, I tell you, I just saw some videos this morning, and I instead of doing a lot of news, because this really gets to me. I feel like doing a meltdown like Tim Pool. Start slamming like this, because it's really revealing. And you think about. Well, it's actually geopolitical, and it's got the deepest repercussions, and it's like absolutely incredible. And as the catalyst, and you see like Candace Owens, and there's even a lot of other people that are going into this, and of course Jimmy Dore is really big into this as well. And you're seeing concerning this assassination of Charlie Kirk. And it's like, and hey, this even goes into like Nick Fuentes and everything. But primarily, this is about Israel. And all of this stuff just shows you how Israel is in control of so very much. And this is no conspiracy theory. This is stuff that's it's right in front of your face. And it's like, what is really going on here? And it's like, are we being played for stupid and we're just supposed to be going along with this? And a lot of this, it's very easily displayed when you see how Donald Trump had like a total meltdown against anybody that is against his view of the Epstein files and the conspiracy or the uncovering or all of this sort of thing. And, there's a lot of people coming up with these theories like, oh, Trump is involved and all. And then they released a couple photos, 4 photos, I guess, or something, showing Trump with some young girls or just some women. I don't even know that they were so young, but it's, Trump is much younger too. And who gives a crap anyway? I mean, I already saw some of those Polaroids when I think there's one, I don't know if she's even sitting on his lap, but it's quite a young girl. I don't know, 14 years old or something like that. And it looks like she's showing that she's really into Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is maybe being nice, but they got their clothes on and all that. And it's not really that revealing, except maybe I would think, well, look at this girl, and she looks like she's really into this. And somebody even told me once, speaking about these young girls, and yeah, we do have sympathy for them. Seriously, I mean, I do, because young people, make decisions. You've made decisions when you're younger that were maybe kind of stupid as well. And, a lot of these young girls, maybe they knew what they were getting into when they go to this island, but it's still not nice, to get these young girls. And I'm only thinking of the ones that I've seen, maybe I don't know how old they are. They always show us this one with this Virginia Giuffre, that photo, and Prince Andrew, I guess, as if that's the poster, literally the poster child of the Epstein sort of a deal. And, they put out that there's thousands of movies of pedophilia and all that. And this is stuff it's being hidden from us. I mean, you can take screenshots of some of these things from these movies even, and it's all covered up. It is all covered up. Obviously, they can find some things that's not exposing anybody too badly, and we don't know who these people are. Some of these are just girls. They're not celebrities or nothing like that, and maybe a lot of people, even their own friends, won't know them because some of these photos are so old. I don't even know if I can recognize myself in a lot of photos from 20 years ago or whatever, but they just show us this one photo, and then maybe now we've seen these ones of Trump, and we all know that the Democrats, if they had something on Trump before, they would have exposed it. So it's not against Trump. And what is it against? And so what is it? Why is Trump so adamant about covering up all of this stuff as well? And it seems really obvious. It's obvious because now we're seeing a lot of this other cover up, and it always has to do with Israel, protecting Israel. And it's very strange. We have our government. They're more going out of their way to protect Israel than they are their own citizens or anything else. Protect Israel, protect Israel. And it's even coming to the point where they're trying to make laws, and prosecute people that say things against Israel. And it comes back to that little quip, whoever said it, I don't know, that, to know who controls you. And I think some people were saying it was Voltaire, but I guess it's not Voltaire. I even said it was Voltaire because that's what I was told. But it's not Voltaire. But I guess it's somebody saying that to know who controls you, you just have to find out or know who you can't criticize. So it's just it exposes exactly, I guess, who controls us to the most extent. If they control the government, and the government of the United States, obviously, as we have now just seen, I was just talking about the Honduras election, and you see what's going on with Venezuela and even Ukraine. Who is actually the one that steers Ukraine, and the leader of Ukraine knows it himself? Well, it's the United States. But then you ask, well, who steers the leader of the United States? I don't know. It's really some dark stuff. And so when you're looking at these social media things like Turning Point USA, and then it's getting exposed right in front of your face, who is running that? And there's so many people now. I'll tell you, and what really is frightening, and I have to get into this, is this platform that I am talking to you on right this very minute is like I just put out in a video yesterday. They're very much involved with helping. I'm not talking about the video platform, but the what do I say? The company that owns this video platform. They're very much involved in helping Israel target people, families in the Middle East. And you have to wonder, like, what was it inside of an apartment building on Qatar when Israel, when they're trying to talk about peace? It was Hamas and with Qataris, and they were talking about peace, trying to reach a peace settlement with Israel. And Israel bombed it, bombed another sovereign nation. And Israel feels, since they get protection from the United States, they can bomb anybody they want, and they pretty much can. And they always get cover from the United States. Well, what was the punishment to Israel for doing that? It would have been a punishment if anybody else did it, but Israel didn't suffer any punishment. They have a truce going with Lebanon, and I even mentioned part of this yesterday as well, but yet they've never stopped bombing Lebanon. And Hezbollah has not bombed anything to do with Israel this entire time. They obey the ceasefire, but Israel doesn't obey it. And Israel feels themselves empowered to do anything they want to do. And even Donald Trump making friends with Syria, and Israel continues to bomb in Syria. And then you just saw, what was it, yesterday, when there was an attack, and I think it was an interpreter, probably somebody from Syria, and I think it was 2 U.S. citizens, or maybe it was soldiers. I'm not even sure anymore. But I can bet you dollars to donuts who was involved in that one. And I don't even have to go deep down into that. But anyway, I'm kind of on a rant, Like I said, I'm going to do a Tim Pool and start pounding the table and call people the C word, some women or whatever like that. And, Nick Fuentes, as you know, is very weird. It's like the women should shut the F up. And what the heck? And then you kind of start to think, I mean, it's like, why did somebody say that? Why is somebody so much against women? I mean, what the heck? What's wrong with women? Like, just because they're a woman or something. And somehow, what does it make them? Something wrong with them if they're a woman? And apparently he's got friends that are black, so he says that generally or largely blacks should all be in jail. So I guess all of them except for those that are his friends, I guess. I don't know. I tell you what is he, 27 years old, Nick Fuentes, and I don't know. Somebody put on there, and I wasn't necessarily thinking about it because I was thinking that Nick Fuentes was against this genocide, and he might even be. And then he even said something about Jews, that Jews control society. And I pretty much agree with him. And I think most people do. I mean, it's not like a big conspiracy that they're going to do something to us, once they got everything. But, it's mostly to make money, and they all help each other, Jewish people. I don't know, is that a good thing, or is it a bad thing, or is it a neutral thing? And you see they have vast control of banking, they have vast control of Hollywood, they even have control of the Supreme Court. I think the majority, of the justices are Jewish, and they're probably pro-Israel. I mean, and I'm not even talking about pro-Israel, I'm just talking about Jewish. And what do they represent in the society of America? Like 1.5%, and yet they control, I don't know, what is it, 40 or 50 or 60% of the Supreme Court even? And then you look at all the United States Congress, and strangely enough, it's like, I would even venture to say at least 75% of them are all very pro-Israel. And it's like, but they're not pro-Brazil. They're certainly not pro-Russia. I don't know. They're not pro-France. They're not pro-Germany, and they would tell you, we have to look at everybody, equally in that way, but not when it comes to Israel. And it's like, well, geez, it's like Israel, it's not a state of the United States, but yet it has far more privilege than any state in the United States. Well, why don't they just be pro-Texas or something like that, or pro-California or Alaska? I don't get it. And I think I remember some of these things because it was really telling. Just some little expression or some answer to some question that some reporters have asked people in Israel in the past, and it's really revealing. One reporter, I guess, asked an Israeli official and said, "Well, why don't you just become the 51st state of America?" And the Israeli said, "Aha, well, you see." Every state in the United States gets 2 senators. Every state, whether it's Rhode Island, the little tiny one, or Alaska, or Texas, any of them, they all get only 2 senators. And right now, us in Israel, we have 30 senators. So why would we want to become a state? I mean, it's not just that they own, for example, Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz admits it, and probably Hillary Clinton and so many others. But I don't know. And that was even a long time ago. How many senators do they actually own now? They might own 40. How many congressional representatives? And everybody is getting on their knees, and doing a circus seal for Israel because they know that they can stay in office, they can get elected to office, they get all this money and all this funding of American taxpayers' money that floats to Israel, and it comes back to the United States and pays these people's political campaigns so that they can stay in office and remain pro-Israel. It's like, what? Isn't there anybody that can break that cycle? I mean, we would think that Donald Trump would want to break it, but Donald Trump, he's probably worse than some of the worst. Who put Donald Trump in office? I even keep saying that. I said, there's nobody that could have put Donald Trump in office other than the Israelis. The deep state was supposedly against him, and you have to not make this mistake. By thinking that George Soros is a Jew. George Soros is not a Jew. George Soros did very much damage to Judaism. George Soros, when he was even a small boy, he would turn Jews in to the Nazis. So the Nazis know where to find them, and then they would go get them. And that was George Soros when he was even 5 years old back in those days. And he admits he's an atheist. Obviously, George Soros does work for Israel on occasion. They certainly do. All of these people, and they're deep state. And deep state, they all work together when their interests combine, when they have colluding interests. They help each other out in that way because it's mostly to make money, to get power and influence. That's how that all works. This is a whole, and look at this. Look at us regular people. We think, America. And that's what they try to tell us that they think, that they're for America. They're not for America. They're for themselves. And even the politicians in the West, that's particular to the West. I'll tell you what, I'm in Belarus, I'm in Minsk, and the leader of this country, he's pro-Belarus. He's not pro-Israel. He's not pro-Soros. He's not pro any of this stuff. If somebody helps Belarus and is a friend of Belarus, well, then he is their friend. But if they are not, then he's not their friend. He can look back and he can coordinate with those people, and he can, be cordial to them. I guess maybe you can say he's friends with them, such as even Zelensky. And he even likes Ukraine. If you don't have anything against Belarus, he has nothing against you. But yet, he's a bad and he's an evil guy. And it's like the deep state from the West making everybody think in these certain ways. I mean, how badly are we all brainwashed? I mean, look at these people that are completely indoctrinated, like in Ukraine, and they're indoctrinating a lot of them in Lithuania and all of these Baltic states and even Poland, trying to make you think that somebody is your enemy when they're not your enemy. And maybe they're your enemy. They're the ones, they're trying to control you. And for what purpose? It's always like a transfer of wealth. You can't deny that. To take the money out of your pocket and transfer it into their pockets, or they can steer it into somebody else's pocket that's going to do them some benefits. I mean, it's the same thing with Merz and, the leader of Germany, the leader of the UK, in so many of these jokers. Sometimes some of them, they step back and they say, well, I'm going a little bit too fast here. I'm going to stay out of this. And then you ask who these people are, like Merz. What was he? He was the big representative of BlackRock, the richest company on planet Earth, and got them into Germany. And that's probably a major reason why Germany is going to hell in a handbasket faster than you can spit. I mean, it's incredible. And they do everything that hurts Germany and hurts the people. And so why the heck are they doing this stuff? Everybody shakes their head looking at Germany. I'm trying to ignore some of the news, but even lately, some of the people in the news are just talking about this. What the heck? What are they doing, these people? And Macron, look at Macron. What is his approval rating, like 11%? And who was Macron? He was a Rothschild banker, and the banks are always there. Whenever there's a war there, they're the ones, and they fund all these different sides. You had Goldman Sachs. They were heavily involved in the Syrian war. And Donald Trump is a businessman, so he's playing like a lot of things. And I always like to say, well, Donald Trump, he does some very good things, but I think some of the worst things, he's not on our side. And I don't know. Donald Trump is really difficult to figure out. So I haven't really made my complete decision on him, but I don't know. And if you look at the Epstein thing, of course, it's to protect Israel. And what is Epstein, Israel? Well, Epstein, it's very clear, and everybody knows that. And they try to make sure you don't see this evidence that he wasn't Mossad. He was freaking certainly Mossad. And then now you have people, whistleblowers, coming out. It's incredible. I was mostly going to be talking about these videos from Jimmy Dore, and this is all related to that, but I'll get into the videos like right now. Jimmy Dore put out 4 videos, and one of them, there was a whistleblower from TPUSA, and there's a lot of whistleblowers coming out in TPUSA talking. I mean, there is so much stuff. Turning Point USA, and that is like a front organization for Israel, big time in the United States. That is their baby. And Charlie Kirk was, so to speak, divorcing himself from Israel. And I tell you what, I mean, if you don't think Israel has anything to do, and I'll tell you, it's going to be on this platform right now. It's going to probably become illegal, and this video at some point in time will be deleted. For me, just talking about this, having that Israel has anything to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. And what are they going to do? They're going to be probably, and I don't even think that Candace Owens or even Max Blumenthal ventured to come right out and say anything about that directly. They've implied it. And remember immediately, and Candace Owens talks about that. She was talking about that with Jimmy Dore. See, one of these videos with Jimmy Dore was with Candace Owens. I just saw a portion of it. I didn't see the entire interview with Jimmy Dore and Candace Owens, but she said how weird it is that as soon as Charlie Kirk got shot, that Bibi Netanyahu jumped in front of a camera and said, we didn't have anything to do with it. We didn't have anything to do with it. And people, well, what? Why would you? What? Nobody would think you'd have any, But it was obvious because Charlie Kirk, as I just said, he was divorcing himself for the most part from Israel. And it wasn't just because of the genocide. It was because of other things. Israel was bullying him, and Israel, he was coming to realize, was controlling him. And most of his money came from Israel. It's just about like Ben Shapiro. And, oh my God. I mean, it's you'd have to really write and spend a lot of time and write it and have like maybe a teleprompter to do this all perfectly and show you how Israel is controlling all of this stuff. And it's going to be at one point in time illegal to be talking about it on this platform. So this video, and sometime in the future, will be taken down because we're not allowed to be criticizing our Massa. And I said at the very beginning, like I was even kind of getting to that point earlier in this video. It's only 20 minutes long right now, but that Israel is responsible for putting Donald Trump in the White House when the deep state was working against him, and they said they were working against him. George Soros came out and said he said that he is going to destroy Donald Trump for the most part. And, a lot of us are, Donald Trump is showing Soros. Soros, everybody knows Soros has tremendous control over a lot of things that go on in the world, like refugees flooding into different countries and all of that. And a lot of the funding he had was through U.S. aid. And the good thing is that, Elon Musk and, under Donald Trump, for the most part, they actually they got control of U.S. aid. And I think now it's under the State Department. Marco Rubio, and also kind of a, So we can all talk about these people that are with Donald Trump and the stuff that Donald Trump does. And a lot of youth, it's very refreshing to see that a lot of youth are waking up and they're paying a lot of attention. A lot of them, like that's another thing about Nick Fuentes. A lot of people say he is a psyop of Israel. And I wasn't even thinking about that when somebody wrote a comment about that. And right away, somebody came up and said, how dare you say something? Oh, no, I think it was not about the Israel part, but I think it was about something about the GOP, the Republican Party and all that. And I don't know so much about that part. But I started thinking, well, Nick Fuentes, is he like kind of an asset of Israel, or is he operating like one or whatever? And like a psyop, done in a particular way to make us think of one thing and go the other. It's sort of like Donald Trump. He does that. He does head fakes. He makes you go one way, thinking, oh yeah, this is the way, and then he goes the other way. And right now, he seems to be firmly convinced that he is going to end this war in Ukraine in Russia's favor. Russia is winning on this, and Russia is standing firm on what they've always said. What are their points? And Ukraine keeps changing up and doing this. Zelensky keeps wanting to add things and do things to delay, and the European Union as well. Zelensky is now, he was a puppet of Obama and Bush types of people, and now he's a puppet of, the puppets of the U.S. puppets, which are the European Union. And it's a real strange thing. I mean, you can see all this stuff, but you kind of try to make sense of what is going on. What are the men behind the curtain actually doing? So now it is the European Union, when it used to be Joe Biden. And everybody used to say, even before Joe Biden was president, that Joe Biden was the president of Ukraine. And I mean, it's like, this is some really crazy stuff. But it's actually, if you think about it, Donald Trump, I've said, and I stand by this, that Donald Trump was also, thirsting at trying to bring about the collapse of Russia. I mean, look he said anybody doing any business with Russia will be paying sanctions, all of them. All of them will suffer tariffs of anybody doing any business with Russia. And Donald Trump, gradually, even from the beginning, he was wondering, can I bring Russia to its knees? Can I destroy Russia? And then I think he finally came to the realization that, I can't do this, so I'm going to go with plan B and try to, make a peace plan or something like that. And like Brian Berletic was saying, and it's probably very true, that Donald Trump, he's even part of this and hoping that they get like something like a freeze, and that in the future they can just start again, go right back, after they, lick their wounds, they withdraw, lick their wounds, build up at least the Ukrainian military, and Europe is in a huge, heavy military buildup right now, and then restart the war and maybe get everybody involved in going to war against Russia, everybody they possibly can. So that's just a possibility. And Donald Trump, as you all see, how he works, he sticks a couple irons in all different types of fires, and you see which one gets hotter, faster, and the best. And that's the one he goes with. So he's going to be looking at another way, probably, if it's possible at all in his presidency, to start up some more hostilities or to do something bad to Russia, because these people, it's gone for centuries. And me, as I don't like to, brag, but otherwise nobody would listen to me if I don't tell you some certain things. I was an honor graduate in history, and I didn't specialize in Russian history. I was specializing to a large extent mostly in German history, and a lot of that had to do with even what's today Kaliningrad, what back then was Königsberg, and the first dynasty. Basically you could say Prussian or Brandenburg or the Northmark dynasty, which this stuff expanded later into be the leaders of the leaders of Germany. But the first one were like the Ascanians, and the first leader was Albert the Bear, and all of this. But not even so much about that against Russia, but it was the whole reason for establishing what was called then the Northmark was to keep Slavic people out of Europe. That was basically the first European Union was back in those days, and it was around the days of Charlemagne and the Holy Roman Empire back in those days. And it was to a large extent geared against Russia, keeping them all out of Europe. So they had a penchant for not liking Slavic peoples even back then. One person that remembers this and probably knows about history is Robert Fico of Slovakia, because he often even makes comments knowing that a lot of these people in Western Europe, they love to see these people killing each other, the Ukrainians and the Russians. And they're very much delighted with that. They only say they're delighted about watching Russians get killed. Like Kaya Kallas said, we got to kill more Russian children. She's on video saying that. But these people they also love, but they just don't say it. They love seeing the Ukrainians getting killed. Scott Ritter has said that in his videos, and that's absolutely true. And it's like, well, why in the heck? And you don't even know. It's like a supremacist. It's just like the Israelis thinking they're the what is it? God's chosen people, or the master race, like the Nazis. And what Nazis even today, the Ukrainian Nazis, they believe they're the master race, and that the Russians are inferior cockroach beings or something. I don't know where these people get all this stuff. It's absolutely incredible. I can get up there and start bragging. My ancestry is Prussian. That was Adolf Hitler's, master race people, my ancestors, hey, my grandfather, he had to join the Nazi party because he wanted to work. And they had them working. It was nothing to do with any war or nothing like that, or killing anybody. But if you want to eat, you have to do that. So you always have to think about this, when people are members of some sort of a group or something like that. Like even in prisons, you go to a prison, and I worked in a prison as well, and you have to join a group. You have to be part of the Crips or the Bloods or the BGDs or the Mexican Mafia or the Aryan Nation peoples or something. All of these different Viet boys, so all of them are part of some sort of a group, because if you don't, and if somebody sees something that they want that you have, and they could kill you. I mean, even though it doesn't happen very much, but they're going to do something against you in some way or threaten you, if you don't, so you want to have a strength in numbers, and they're more likely to leave you alone. And that's how that actually works. But it was similar back in those days. If you want to work, if you want to have to eat food, I'm talking about the time when my mother was a small child, and she was telling me about how it was like that in the Weimar Republic, after World War I, and they were impoverishing Germany big time. And my mother was telling me, trying to get food and things, like people would come into your garden and they would steal carrots, and you would go to somebody else's garden and steal potatoes and things. And everybody had lice in their hair because it was so dirty, and no soap and things. And there was a lot of poverty, and old Adolf Hitler came in and he started people working again, and people's, so it's like in that way, you could say, well, Adolf Hitler was a good guy and all that sort of thing. So, and it's like that quip, when you hear about people in history, that the bad people were never as bad as they tell you they are, and the good people are never as good as they tell you are. And we're just looking at Donald Trump right now. So he's not, even if he's doing some good things, and a lot of people will sit back and cheer on Donald Trump, they're going to make sure that they ignore all of the bad things that Donald Trump is doing, such as Epstein. And then some people only look at the Epstein things and they don't see maybe some of the good things that Donald Trump is doing. It's a really crazy world. This is how this works. But anyway, none of this stuff is what I was actually going to be talking about. I think I was going to make a short video. This looks like it might even get to be an hour long. So a lot of the things that Jimmy Dore was talking to, like one of the videos, like the one he was talking with Candace Owens, but there was one. I don't think that was in the video that he was talking with Candace Owens, but they're talking about something that I said at the very, very beginning. I was in the Army, and I even ran track, back in my high school days, the 100 meters. And anybody who has seen that, you're sitting there, if you're watching a track meet and somebody, and the people get in the starting blocks, all that, you're looking down the field and you see the guy raise the starting gun and you see the smoke and you see the runners jump out of the blocks. And then a second and a half, depending on how far away you are, if you're 100 meters away, these people are already maybe taking the third step before you hear the shot of the gun. You see the smoke, you see them running, but you don't hear the gun for maybe a second or two later, 2 seconds later. And I was saying that this person could not have been 150 meters away, because when you see the video with Charlie Kirk, when he falls and the blood starts coming out, at that very same second, you hear the shot going off. I'm thinking that was somebody very, very close. It definitely was somebody within like 15, maybe maximum 20 meters, because it was at the very same second anyway, that's what I'm getting at. It was somebody very, very close. And Jimmy Dore said that AI was looking at this, and it was put into AI, and somebody was trying to say, well, is this Tyler Robinson the killer and all that sort of thing? And the AI said, definitely not, and they were talking about that. Just exactly what I told you. It says, by the time the sound waves are getting there, Charlie Kirk would have already been on the floor. He would have been on the floor and bleeding and people rushing, and then you would have heard the shot. But you heard it at the same exact second. Somebody was very close. And not to mention the fact that was not a 30-06. I'm not a big gun expert. Sure, I shot lots of different types of guns and handguns and things like that. But I don't know anything particularly about a 30-06. I only did it because shooting guns and having to get some training and stuff, because I had to, in the Army, M16. And then I was like in these things, like when I was with VIPs and heads of state, presidents and prime ministers and top generals and things like that, I had to have some weapons training. So back then, I think it was a Beretta and then a 45 and, some handguns and all that. Then I worked in a prison, and you get, a couple guns there, some rifles when you're in the towers. That's the only place that the guns are allowed, is in towers. So you have to go to qualifying and shoot those and stuff. But I'm not a gun expert at all, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. I'm not going to lie to anybody on this channel. Why do I have to lie? I was in during Desert Storm, but I didn't go to Desert Storm, and I know a lot of things, but I don't have any reason to lie. I'm not even really out to get money. I just get pissed off about all this lies and all this stuff that's going on, and I feel obligated to get up in front of a camera and start saying this stuff, because I don't like seeing people fooled, because when there's a whole bunch of people that are fooled running around, even though I'm in Belarus, it's not as pertinent over here, but then it kind of affects my life and how I do things. And it came out during this COVID time. If everybody believes the BS and the crap that they're feeding us, which is exactly what they did, and Jimmy Dore knows that. That's one reason I love Jimmy Dore, because he knows about this crap. They're pulling the friggin' wool over your eyes and lying to you to get you to do certain things, spend your money in certain ways, or not even spend it, just so they can create some fake cause and start attacks and start withdrawing your money out of your pocket and transferring it into their bank accounts. I mean, it makes you friggin' sick, But anyhow, what a rant! I should start pounding the table like Tim Pool. So, Anyway, yeah, all of this stuff has implications in geopolitics because, like I said, Israel is definitely, undeniably, in a lot of control. They control a lot. If they control the most powerful country militarily and influentially, then they control a lot of the world. A little country, I don't know how many people there are there, and they act like they're so nice, and then they have a lot of people buffaloed into thinking even this word Judeo-Christian, and I told you, I even have a book sitting right over here on the shelf, and it's towards the back of that book. There's somebody in there, an Israeli, and they're talking about how proud they are that one of the biggest accomplishments they had was to get Muslims and Christians to fight and kill each other, because they're two religions that are very similar and they agree on so many things, and to make them think that they have so many differences that they will fight and kill each other, when in fact, even though it's a related religion, Judaism, they have much more that are different from Islam and from Christianity than Christianity and Islam have together. And it's like they said that is one of the most proudest moments, is to get them to fight and to kill each other. It's absolutely unbelievable. And yet they're doing that. And we are indoctrinated, and it's very difficult to shrug off this indoctrination, just like what's going on in Ukraine right now. And we all see this. These people from 5 years old, basically they're told to hate Russia and to be indoctrinated over and over and over again, how bad the Russians are. And they're raised that way, and how great that Stefan Bandera was. Oh, don't forget the fact that he killed 1 million people probably in Belarus as well as in Poland. And but he was a great guy. And I don't know, kind of a rant, like I say. But anyway, those people are all indoctrinated. It's very difficult to shrug that off when you've been told something your entire life. So, and I don't want anybody to be against Jews, because there are a lot of great Jews. And to me, one of the salvations is somebody like Max Blumenthal. And I'd really like to hear Max Blumenthal. I would love to question Max Blumenthal and ask him and find out all about this stuff. And why is it that he is not like some of these other people? And he really hates this stuff that other Jews are trying to do all this crap and manipulate and steer everybody. And Max Blumenthal is very much, I want to know his theory, his philosophy, because, he's one that will save Judaism, I guess, and maybe help us all get along together instead of some of those, I don't even want to get into it. Why, getting us to hate each other, and then that makes it almost like, well, that sounds like George Soros. That's George Soros' thing, to get everybody to fight each other so that they won't look at the elites. So, we'll be busy fighting each other, and we won't be going after who the real people are that out to get us, which is these globalists, if they want to call them, or the establishment. So anyway, TPUSA, huge amounts of corruption, totally controlled by Israel, I guess. There was one guy that, like I told you about, and this, I think I started, maybe I didn't get finishing it because I get too much on my, rants here, but Jimmy Dore was having on there, and it was a person, he was a whistleblower in TPUSA, and in his training and all that, and he was talking about how they put some of these trainees, maybe towards the end of their training, and they put them in a stripper van. It was used as a stripper van, and they took them to a local bar somewhere, and they got them all drunk, and then they go outside. He was saying something like a cigarette break or whatever, and then they started talking, maybe because there's no microphones maybe out there, whatever, and then they started talking about, Israel and this and Mossad, and the guy was saying, well, what would you think if we told you we were Mossad? And that was like maybe security guys for TPUSA. And anyway, they were trying to maybe recruit these guys into, and they were asking them what they think about Israel and all that sort of thing. It was all really some shady stuff. Anyway, they were trying to recruit them into that, or to find out where their sympathies lie. And if they don't have the right sympathies, they're not going to be hired on. I guess that's what I would go. Maybe they were already hired on. Maybe they're going to see how loyal they were. I mean, if you said, oh, I love Israel. Oh, yeah. And I tell you what, I don't even, for the most part, don't have that much against Israel. I know there are some great people in Israel. There certainly are. And it could be a far, far better place. But why do they want to stir up all of this animosity? I guess, what was it in, there's a belief, and I think it might be even in Judaism, It's sort of like Donald Trump, maybe his philosophy, to keep stirring up the apple cart. You stir up the apple cart and you tip it over, and then it's in your control to replace it all the way you want to have it, and it to be you and to be into control, and how your way to do everything rather than how it was when you first came. It's like absolutely incredible stuff. There's just philosophies. I like a lot of philosophy, and I don't know. I probably mentioned before, I went to the University of Washington, and just coincidentally, that's where Bruce Lee, the Kung Fu guy, he went to the University of Washington. And, when you watch the Bruce Lee story, they try to make you think everything is in San Francisco and all that. And he was in San Francisco earlier, but, for the most part, he was in Seattle. He was based in Seattle, not in San Francisco. And his wife, is from a high school nearby, Roosevelt High School. A friend of mine was even, she was a couple grades ahead of him, but that's, anyway, but he was in that school as well. And Bruce Lee, he majored in philosophy at the University of Washington. I could tell you some things about, I was not there, of course, but I just know about him. Bruce Lee is interesting. I just thought I would throw that one out. Okay, but anyway, there was also another interview, and I believe that was also that Jimmy Dore was showing that, and it was this Barry Weiss, this woman, and I guess she's with CBS. And as you all know, that this Larry Ellison and his son, I guess they bought, they have CBS and they have Paramount, and they own huge amounts of media in the United States, a whole lot of things. And they also just bought TikTok. And there was that interview, if a lot of you saw that, Benjamin Netanyahu basically sitting at a table and saying how they got to control all these media. And the only one that, he really wants X. I don't think he owns Telegram. I don't know how much Telegram is used over there. We use it a lot over here in Russia and Belarus areas and things. And as you know, they kind of have him captive in France because he unfortunately became like a citizen of France. Also, Pavel Durov, the owner of Telegram, and they're trying to get mostly control over him and everything. It's really terrible what's going on. All of our media and things is supposed to. That's what I'm getting at. I'm saying this stuff is really. That's what I'm getting at right now. A lot of time in this video is we got a rough time in front of us. All of us, who wants to know the truth, talk about the truth, and have justice in the world. And these people, it's just unbelievable, And I don't know, are they going to get Telegram? And Netanyahu was sitting there talking about, X, He wants to get a hold of, control that. And you saw how they convinced Elon Musk. He was saying some things negative about Israel and all that. And then, of course, they invited him to Israel. And I don't know if it's really true. I don't know if Elon Musk has really now gone to the dark side and if he's very much in favor of Israel or not. Sometimes he shows that, but he doesn't show anything anti-Israel, that's for sure. Maybe it's just that he knows who the powerful ones are in the world. It doesn't matter if Elon Musk is one of the wealthiest people. I mean, like I said, it's difficult times coming in the future for us. Deleting my videos and things. This is something for you guys to know if there's some young people out there, or if any of you know young people or outlets where you can send even this video to. And most of you know that all of this stuff is absolutely true that I'm talking about. I've been watching this stuff for decades, many decades, and watching all this stuff happen. And Israel, I tell you, it's weird. It's like cognitive dissonance. They're controlling our minds, even though we're not even hypnotized. We're not under a spell, or it's not a dream. This is really stuff that's going on. And that's why they want to control this TPUSA, and to see, for them, it's absolutely vital, Wow. Because they believe that these are going to be the future leaders. Because, Charlie Kirk was going to college campuses, which some of those people are going to be the future leaders of the United States. And they want, obviously, to control those people. And one thing, there are some people that are going to these Charlie Kirk things, and they go there maybe to argue with Charlie Kirk, and they don't, you saw some people celebrating. I don't know if were those Israeli people I guess there were at least 12 phones that were registered in Israel that were at that Charlie Kirk event. And one of the people you should watch right now, while you still can, while a lot of these people are not really taken off, and she is very careful as well, is Candace Owens. You got to watch some of her stuff. She seems to be a real, genuine person, and she's not a lightweight. But these women got to shut the F up. Maybe the person who said that, maybe that was directed at Candace Owens. This is some really, and if you guys are following this stuff, this is some really incredible stuff. You know, what's going on in the world. That's one reason why I had to make this video instead of talking news. Yes. And in the video yesterday, I was talking about big tech companies, and this woman, and Donald Trump went after her. She's got some of the biggest sanctions of any single one person in U.S. history, that nobody in the government is allowed to talk to her. You have to watch the video tomorrow. What is her name? Albanese, Francesca Albanese or something. And she's in the United Nations. She's got a couple degrees, and she's getting her PhD now in Amsterdam. And they're going after her with a vengeance, because she is exposing that a lot of these tech companies, they work with Israel. They help Israel to target people. And that includes a lot of children, to kill them, to drop a bomb on families where there is children, because they're using the children's apps. The children's app. So when the child is sitting there, maybe playing a game, maybe with other people, maybe in other parts of the world, sitting in the back of the car as the daddy, somebody that they think is a terrorist, even if it's a politician, or even if it's a part of the education branch of Hamas or whatever, and then they bomb that car and they kill the entire family, even though these people may have absolutely nothing to do, which very often is the case, anything to do with any hostilities or any military branch or anything of Hamas. Even a lot of people, and they're doing this, they target people all over the Middle East, and they're using these things that these tech companies, Microsoft and all of them have, and these people are willingly letting them target these people. And as you know, a lot of time you register, and these game apps, you know, when you're doing it with other people online, they know where you're at, and they can trace you. And then Israel gets this information, and they know that by the name and who these people are, so they bomb your car. You know, no drones around whatsoever until the drone maybe shows up, or a missile, and it just comes and lands exactly on that car. There's some things even back in my day in the military that are just, they're unbelievable. They had some technology even back then. And if you guys remember, let me just go into this one too. Another little tangent here. Do you remember this is back in Obama days, Barack Obama, and he arrested somebody, or no, let me get this back. The Pakistanis, they arrested a U.S. person in Pakistan, and because he had killed, I guess, two people that were trying to arrest him, two Pakistanis. So he killed them, and then they caught him. And then they found some devices on this guy, and one of them is like it's a small little laser pointer and everybody knew that they have. And I mean, this was technology from a long time ago. And what this laser pointer does is you basically turn it on and you mark it. You hit a target like a building. I don't know if it works for the car. I know at least with the stationary buildings. I never use these things, but I know that I was around some people and maybe that did have these things, definitely. And anyway, but as far as I know, it may be just a building. So you mark the building, and they can send a bomb from halfway around the world that will hit that building based on the fact that you marked it with that laser pointer. And this guy, and I guess I have to say this guy, and I'm positive almost, and this was after my time in the military, but he was probably in the unit that I was in, and his fake name in those days, and I think he might even still, you might be able to find this still, even on Wikipedia. His name was Raymond Davis, that's a fake name. So anyway, the Pakistanis arrested him, and they were holding him, and he was like a CIA person, I'm supposing, because I don't think he was in the military at that time. But Barack Obama said, let this guy go, or you will be in a state of war against the United States. For one person, Barack Obama was just about to go to war against Pakistan unless they let this guy go. And he was like in charge of the CIA station at that time area. So he was going out and doing some of the work himself. And I've never been in the CIA. I've known a couple of people, but they were just there visiting in the, like in places that I was at, like recently in the Caribbean. And, oh man. But anyway, just for one guy, Barack Obama definitely said that there will be a war, that they were going to bomb Pakistan unless they let this guy go. So obviously they had to let this guy go. So that's just telling you, and that was back in, when I don't know when the Obama days, but they had this stuff even back then. They have some things that are just so amazing you can't even believe it, and they had it even a long time ago. Even back in the early 90s, they have things from a satellite, and you can look down, and it's like an X-ray, and they can look down various layers in a house, and they can see like who's in the basement in a 3-story apartment building. I don't know how many floors it's capable of doing, but they can see people in the basement. So it'll go through all of the floors, and they can zero in on the basement and see people moving around and where they're at in the basement. That's U.S. technology, and you can almost bet 99 or I'll just say 100% the Israelis have that too. So that's how they're targeting all these people. It's so you're sitting there wondering, how in the heck is Israel? How are they bombing all these people all over the place? How do they know where they're at? Anyway, that's it right there. Terrible stuff, tech, in a lot of ways. And AI, things are going to be getting even much, much worse. A lot of stuff. Everything you can imagine is going to happen now with AI. So, but a lot of this stuff. So there's going to be big censorship coming, is what I'm getting at as well. I'm definitely going to be censored. I'm already censored. I'll tell you what, censorship. Well, how long did it take for me to download that video last night? Because I was talking about some of those things. It was like over 12 hours. It was definitely 12 hours. I left a note on the video, and I said by that time it was like, I think I said 9 hours. It was 9 hours. I was going to bed. I can't just, stay up the entire day waiting, because a lot of times they put a goofy picture there. I'm going, or something like this. They're probably going to put that one up, for the video, for the thumbnail, for the video. So sometimes I take another picture so I don't have to have some goofy picture, of me in there. Anyway, who knows what they're going to choose this time? And you have to kind of be ready and wait. Know when the video is going to come up. A lot of you will probably look on these video and say, well, look at this guy's goofy face. I can run around with a straight face and no emotion, so I look like a real cool guy all the time, but on the videos, but I don't know. Just want to be myself. So, but I think Israel's going to be doing all of this mostly because their man is in the White House right now. So look at when they were in last time, they moved the capital to Jerusalem instead of Tel Aviv. And I think, is that when Donald Trump recognized the Golan Heights as part of Israel and all of these other things? What is going to be going on? And look at, they've already taken over now a large portion of Gaza. What is this? The yellow line, as we all know. And they're going to be taking more. They're going to take all of Gaza eventually. From those people that have lived there for thousands of years, and all of these people that are part of Israel, most of them are all from Europe somewhere. Some come from even Belarus. They come from even Belarus, Lithuania, and Russia. Some from Canada. They're coming from all over. And these are not Semitic peoples. Who are the most anti-Semitic people on the face of the earth? Well, I would say it's definitely the Israeli government. They're not Semitic at all, but yet they hate these people that are Palestinians, which are Semitic peoples. Even Eskimos are Semitic peoples. Semitic, look it up. I don't want to go through the definition of it. Well, what is a Semitic person? And those people there, even just because they're Jewish does not make them Semitic. They're not Semitic. So the definition of anti-Semitic, I guess nowadays we say, it's somebody who doesn't like the Jews or something. Oh, come on, So, yeah, to a large extent, we have to get some of these really good Jewish people like Max Blumenthal to save the Judaism, to be honest with you. And now, again, you're seeing this but they call it a wave again of anti-Semitism. Well, who is the one bringing that about? Jeez, it's they themselves, those that proclaim themselves to be Semitic people. Gosh, I was even going to mention, I probably mentioned already this video earlier, and I'll say it again, that even the Supreme Court, those that are the guardians of justice, and I think at least a large amount of them, if not the majority of them, are Jewish. I mean, I tell you what, and a lot of them, I don't know, you just hope that they're going to be sensible people, and they don't equate people that don't like Israel and what the Israeli government, I mean, for the most part, is doing, does not make them anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish, or anything. It's, I don't know. So, but they're trying to make everybody think in those terms. If you don't like the actions of Israel, if you don't support genocide of Palestinians, then you must hate the Jews. I mean, gosh, damn. Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe somebody out there, maybe do me a favor and convince me that I'm a conspiracy theorist and none of this stuff is accurate that I'm telling you. I don't think it's going to happen. That's actually what a rhetorical question, by the way, because I know I'm not. So, and I'm sure most of the rest of you are not. But I mean, look at how they use all of these things to bamboozle us, to control us. You know, it's, oh, how dare you think in that way? That makes you a bad person. So you should be ashamed of yourself. And people are talking about, like Erica Kirk, trying to use that against Candace Owens and all that. Oh, how dare you? Look at this, a grieving mother with their child. And Candace Owens, if I were her, she could get up and when she goes to a debate and she could say, how dare you? Charlie Kirk is your husband and is the father of your children. So why don't you give a damn about who actually killed him? You don't want to do anything about it. You just want to accept this narrative with all these facts are proven to be totally false and fake. So you're going to put this innocent guy and maybe give him the death penalty, you know, this Tyler Robinson, and he didn't even kill your husband. And that's very obvious. It's just like these Chernov brothers. Remember that in the Boston Marathon bombing things? And there's just way too much evidence about that. And oh, nobody gets to interview that other brother. I don't know, did they kill him already? Or whatever happened to him? They put him in prison, the younger brother. And they even said, oh, he ran over with a stolen car, his older brother. And even though they have film footage of this older brother, they stripped him naked, put handcuffs on him, and they have evidence, they have video evidence of the police putting him into the back of a police car, totally naked. And his relatives say that is definitely him. And then, oh no, the younger brother ran over him. It's absolutely incredible. That came out right away. There's just way too much stuff. And then they said, oh, there was pressure cookers in a backpack, remember? And they show you the backpack that was blown up by the pressure cooker, and then they show photos of these two brothers. They didn't have backpacks like that, but they had a bunch of guys standing around with these khaki pants on and these ear things in their thing, and they all look like, you know, and all sunglasses. I mean, a whole bunch of these guys around, but they had backpacks like that. Oh, isn't that incredible? And that's, one of them had the pressure cooker or the pressure cooker bomb, or I don't know if there was one bomb. Oh, yeah, and it was in one of those backpacks. I mean, how obvious, right in front of our nose. You know, they piss in our faces and tell us it's raining. I mean, it's as incredible. Anyway, it's kind of a rant video. But anyway, I'm glad you guys joined me, and I hope you enjoyed it. You know, make sure you press the like, seriously, and maybe send it to some other people. You know, it helps my ego a little bit, thinking, well, I'm not just... And, you know, like I keep telling you guys, and I've said before, I see a certain amount of views on my video, and then all of a sudden they're gone. It's like, oh, then they go backwards. It's like, so there's only 46 people that saw this video, and you know, and once in a while I think I was having more likes than views, and it's like, how could that happen? I don't know. It's just a form of censorship, and I know that. But of course, if you guys help me out a little bit, you know, they're doing this to Candace Owens. It makes me wonder, really, how many people really are seeing Candace Owens videos, you know, before they can remove the views and things like that. Anyway, it's a little bit of fun here talking about this stuff anyway, guys. And of course, it takes a weight off of my chest. And yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoy it. And hope you can get something out of it, and appreciate you joining me. And again, like, you know, push the like button for sure if you've made it this far through the video. Okay, I'll tell you more next time. Bye-bye.